Good morning, Paris Squad. Let's talk about whether or not spirits can control other spirits. This is a weird topic, actually. At the time I came across the question in the forums, I pretty much had the mindset of you die equals free will. You know what I mean? You pass away and you decide if you want to go to your funeral, you go see your loved ones, you make the decision to cross over or stay earthbound. Obviously, there's a few rare cases like when someone is like murdered suddenly or a tragic car accident, it takes a little bit to realize they've passed and then make their decision. But essentially, you decide if you're gonna hang tight or you're gonna cross over. And I kind of never really gave it much thought beyond that. You decide who you want to see, you decide where you want to go, you decide if you want to stay, you decide if you want to cross. You're free from being told what to do because you're a spirit. You can do whatever you want. I never thought about the interaction between other spirits. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just thought of death as an individual situation, and I never really thought about how spirits interact with each other. You always think about how spirits interact with the living, but I never really gave it any thought as to how spirits interact with other spirits. I just never thought about it. And so then, interestingly enough, soon after I saw this question, I came across an episode of Ghost Whisperer. And I remember actually genuinely being frustrated and upset with the show, and even with James Van Prague, who I'd always really respected as a medium, someone I didn't really feel had sold out like some of the mainstream mediums that are even currently active right now. Because season 1 I felt was dead on to how it was for me as a medium. Season 2 I was pretty close. There were some things that I was kind of like, well, it didn't happen to me, or it's not like that for me, but who am I to say how that is for everybody? And then as the seasons progressed and we started getting into the evil and the shinies and the shadows or what, dark people or whatever, I started getting very frustrated because there were constantly these situations where there were negative spirits preventing or trying to prevent good spirits from interacting with Belinda. Melinda? It's been a minute, right? And I was like, this is crap. Like, who is anybody to tell anybody that they can't? If they're going to want to talk to them, they're just going to disappear and go tell her something and then disappear back. I felt like in the spirit world, why couldn't they just think Melinda, give her a message, think back? No one would know. So some time had passed since this whole situation arose. I didn't ever jump into the conversation on the forum. I kind of was indifferent about the topic. I didn't have an opinion either way. My feelings about the Ghost Whisperer were what they were. And then some time had passed and I went as a consultant for a group to a place called Kenton Station here in Portland. Definitely an active place, had a really good time, and there were quite a bit of spirits there. Not just that I as a medium could interact with, but actually that the spirit box and other devices, all their little gadgets, were consistently picking up. And what they were picking up was totally aligning with what I was seeing and hearing and feeling. So it was totally legit activity. And during this investigation, there was a woman named Annie, and she was trying to say things periodically, and her voice was very, very quiet. You could hear the fear, you could hear the concern, you could almost hear the rush. She would try to say something, and then you would hear these guy spirits, swear to God, tell her to shut up, tell her to be quiet, tell her to go back, tell her to not stop talking, and she would adhere. She would get quiet, she would stop talking, then she would try again a little bit later, same thing, these assholes would start yelling at her, and it was just like, what? Like, why do they care? And like, why is she listening? And that's when things started to click for me and I realized what the heck was really going on. So now I get to relay it to you guys. So here's the conclusion that I came up with in terms of whether a spirit can control another spirit. Why they would care, I don't know. Obviously, if there's like information they don't want the living to know, you know, whatever. But you know what? Some people are just assholes, and in turn, some spirits are just assholes and like control. So here's my theory on this. I am always telling you guys that a spirit is a spirit is a spirit, right? We are, our personalities, our interests, our goals, our likes, our drive, all of that is our spirit, it's our soul, right? The body, the meat suit, that's just how we do the things we want to or don't want to do, how we achieve our goals, how we project our creativity or our personalities. I am a loud, obnoxious, in your face, no bullshit kind of person. Someone tells me anything, they're gonna know that I have an opinion about it. That's me. I have interacted with, met. I don't have a lot of friends that way just because our personalities wouldn't align very well. But I know many people throughout my years and work and school and just life who are very, 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 very quiet. The complete opposite of me. Quiet, passive, indecisive, non-leader personality types, right? I mean, mousy voices, no opinions. I mean, they might have them, but they don't ever voice them. They're not going to argue or talk back if someone's, you know, trying to tell them to do this or don't do this. They just hear and keep it moving, which is totally fine. We're all different. We're all going to have different personalities. That's what makes things different. But when we die, that doesn't change, right? A soul is a soul is a soul. That soul that was quiet and mousy and you know, obedient is still going to be that way when they die. Unless something happened in their life to give them that extra confidence, to allow them to have that voice, to inspire them to have that voice, then when they passed, their energy is going to be what it is. Sure, after they pass, if they choose to cross, then maybe through whatever lessons that they have on that side in school, they'll grow as a spirit, and when they come back, or while they're on their other side doing that thing, they'll start getting more of a voice or whatever. But in the meantime, as long as they haven't crossed over and haven't learned anything, then they're still going to be the way they are when they passed away. So an asshole or a very dominant spirit who is telling a super quiet or passive or obedient or whatever terms you want to use spirit to not do something, or threatening them, or you know what I mean, it's going to work the same as the living. And that is how that could happen. I don't see that many situations where that would even need to be. Like, why would a spirit give it crap if another spirit is talking to somebody or doing something or going somewhere? In the case of Kenton, there's a pretty colorful history at that place. There's a lot of underground boxing, there's gang activity, old school mobster gang activity, all sorts of stuff that maybe they were worried she would leak. I don't know. So, I mean, being mobsters in general, they might just like controlling women, controlling anybody really, but especially women. And then who knows what she was trying to say about their dirty little past. So in weird situations like that, I could see it being possible. I don't think it happens often. I don't think it's a common thing, but I do think it can happen. And I think that's why it happens, because at the end of the day, our personality types are personality types. And if the two opposites cross paths and there's a reason for things to be hidden, that could happen like that. So essentially, do I think a spirit can technically control, you know, I love my air quotes, technically control another spirit? No, not physically. If at the end of the day that spirit, the quiet, passive one, really truly wanted to go do something or say something, they're more than capable of doing it. There's nothing physically preventing them. But as an energy, as an essence, as a personality, fear is still real. And through manipulation and scare tactics and just personality differences, in terms of mental and emotional control, yeah, they could definitely control that. So no, not physically they can't, not technically they can't, but yeah, I do think that it happens. I think it's rare, but I think it's possible. Let's just say you ever came across a situation, if you are not a medium or not well experienced, especially in protecting yourself and your energy and your space and the people around you, say a prayer for her or him and let it be. If you've been experienced for a long time, you know how to keep everything safe, then I say try to encourage them to find their voice and then to make their own decisions. I think even on the other side, they will feel freer and happier, and maybe that'll help them get to the other side and to where they need to be. That's a judgment call only you can make in your environment and with your experience. But I mean, there's only so much that you can do. You're talking about a lifetime of someone being one way. And unfortunately, when we cross, if we haven't crossed all the way over, I mean, we're staying earthbound. It's the same thing teaching old dog new tricks. Just because you die doesn't mean you're suddenly going to be open to listening to someone telling you to behave differently than you've behaved your entire living life. Cross spirits is different. We'll get into that in another vlog. But yeah, if they're earthbound, you can just do what you can do if you have the tools and the training. If not, say a prayer and hope that they find their way. It's a topic that I never really gave much thought. When I did put any thought into it, I thought that why would they allow someone to control them? But at the end of the day, that's because I, as a personality, would never let somebody do that to me. So it's hard for me to remember that there are people out there like that do behave that way and do respond that way to dickheads. But when I saw how Annie interacted with these guys there, it was clear, and it did make more sense that that was her personality. And all the little switches clicked, and it made more sense to me. So hopefully it makes sense to you guys. I'm curious what you guys think. If you have any questions about it, if you guys have thoughts, if you've ever had an experience where you've encountered something similar, let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. And it's good to be back. I'm hopefully going to put out more content much more regularly. I found a good filming spot for after work, and my nook at home is starting to come together nicely, so hopefully on my days off I can get filming done there as well. And like I said, I am slowly getting more tools. I also have another fun project that I'm super slowly working on. It is a YouTube project. I'm not really comfortable with it yet, but as soon as I am, I will let you guys know what that is. In the meantime, guys, have a great rest of your day, and talk to you soon.